Hello, everyone. How are we doing today? Welcome back to another episode of KimUnity Solutions, where we help businesses and organizations build the bridge between leadership and the frontline employees, creating a more engaged, productive, peaceful, and cohesive workplace. Welcome. I am so glad to be with you today. Today is a continuation from last week's episode, and it is free flow to riptide when doing what you love. Have you ever experienced free flow? Have you ever been in a state where everything flows together with ease and you can easily lose track of time? That's what we're going to be talking about again today. If you tuned in last week, I started on this topic and then my free flow was actually interrupted by my daughter. She came in and was highly upset about what had transpired at her workplace. So today is a continuation, and later we will be interviewing my daughter so she can discuss her experiences and what she believes the solution is going forward. I hope you all have had a wonderful week. Let's get into it. Getting back to free flow. Free flow is like a smooth rhythm. There's a routine to it. It's almost effortless. It's free flowing. That's where we experience increased creativity, productivity. We're just in a zone. We're fulfilled. I don't think that you can be in a free flow state doing something that does not fulfill you. What is something that you do that puts you in that zone, in that free flow? For me, it can be writing. It could be diving into a plan or brainstorming. I can just get caught up and lose track of time. For you, it may be drawing or painting, some kind of art. It could be speaking. It could be playing with your children. Maybe even in a crossword puzzle or something that just makes you think and you enjoy it so much that you lose track of time. Once you're in that space, you know it. But guess what else? So do the people around you. What happens is we get caught up in this free flow state. And when we lose track of that time, our family starts looking for us, or they already know where we are. And you'll hear them have these discussions about, where's mom? Or where's dad? In her office again? When is your next break, mom? All these reminders that tell you, hey, while you are captured in your moment doing your thing, we need you, we miss you on this other side. So yes, free flow can be great, but at the same time, it can be a riptide, right? Because riptides pull you away from shore. So whatever you're doing that's creative and that has captured your attention is taking you away from other things. Important things, important people, your family, your friends, sometimes your own self-care, your own sleep. Has this ever happened to you? It happens to me, but the thing is that it takes me a minute to get there. I can't just sit there and all of a sudden get in the zone. I can tell my family, okay, I'm going to work. I can't have any interruptions. And then I'll come down maybe 2 hours later, hour and a half later, and they'll say, how's it going? I was like, it hasn't came to me yet. So just because I go and I intentionally set aside time doesn't mean that creative space has occurred. So yes, while I have spent time away, it really hasn't been productive, at least up to that point. And so it's important to Keep those lines of communication open. Again, it's easy to get caught up. But what they don't know is that when you're in that space, you have a better mood, your better performance. When you come out of that space, you feel so alive. You've accomplished something. You've made progress in something. You've made it to the next level. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. But now when you get caught up in that riptide, it's the extreme opposite. Or when you're not in that free flow, it's the extreme opposite. It's draining. You don't want to be there. You're looking at the time. It seems like the day is taking forever to get through because your heart's not in it. It's not what you're passionate about. While you enjoy what you're doing, there's a cost to it. It costs you your relationships. If you don't pay attention, yes, it will cost you your relationships. It will cost you your emotional well-being, your physical well-being. Because what I've noticed is that when I do get caught up like that, and I'm in my office space, because what I do occurs when I'm sitting down, when I'm writing, I don't go outside, and that is not healthy. We need that sunlight. We need that exercise. And so while it's good for one thing, it's bad on the opposite end. So it's very important to try to have a balance, and a balance isn't 50-50 every day, right? It can be split up. And so finding out how to navigate those spaces is vital to our success and to our family's well-being. I remember I was in my office, and sometimes I'll get up early in the morning, right? Because I know that everyone is asleep. They don't need me at that moment. And so I can come up to my space and get a lot of work done without any interruptions. And so I will come up, I will be in my zone. And then next thing you know, my husband comes to the door and he opens it. Now, mind you, I can hear him coming up the steps. So that already takes me out of the zone. And then for him to open the door and then have a conversation. Hey, are you okay? You got up early. I noticed you weren't in the bed. I'm fine, honey. Go back to sleep. And now I'm sitting there out of my zone. I am sitting there out of my zone. So while it may not seem like a lot to you, maybe it was just a minute. If that it has taken time away, I have been taken away from that beach, from that water. I am on shore. I am in the car now, ready to go, because it takes me a minute to get back to where I was. And I truly believe that that break takes me on a different path in my thought process. So I said I was going to have a do not disturb sign, but I really don't want to go there. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, last week when I was in the middle of recording, my daughter came in and that was an interruption. But that time it was my fault because I was downstairs in the living room and she had came in from work. And again, the topic was free flow, just like it is now. And there was interruption. And so, yes, while it was interruption, it was actually on time because that was exactly what I was talking about. And so I did include a snippet of our conversation and her frustration, but we will continue that discussion at a different time. So in that instance, again, I was out of position. I was not in my space. So interruption should have been expected. Okay? Again, it's very important to communicate and to plan and to make the proper accommodations for yourself. In times like that, it's important to prioritize. Yes, I could have told her to hold on, right? But the podcast was not priority at that moment. I needed to be there. I needed to listen. I need to have that active listening ear. And so that's exactly what I did. So I did have to cut my agenda off to accommodate my daughter, right? And that happens. That's life. What also happens is you won't always hear your family or your friends or your significant others tell you you're spending too much time. Sometimes it's unspoken. Sometimes you have to feel it. You have to be self-aware. You have to be alert. You have to use your intuition to detect, okay, I need to redirect my attention. You can't wait for someone to say something. And that's in any type of situation. You need to be aware of your surroundings, aware of other people's emotions. That's emotional intelligence. Okay, you have to go by what you feel. And if it's important to you, then you'll make that proper adjustment. So yes, we have to be alert. We have to stay grounded and be self-aware. We have to communicate. And we have to plan. We have to do all of those. Building strong relationships, both at work and home, requires mindful communication and empathy. At KimUnity Soulutions, we offer workshops on mindful communication and empathy in the workplace that will empower you to connect with those around you. Whether looking to improve your family dynamics or build a more empathetic team, we have tools to support you. Sign up today. Book your call to learn more. Now, while I've said all that about free flow, there may be some of you that say, I don't have that problem. I've never experienced that. I can jump from one thing to another, and that's fine. And you know what? I listened to Alex Hermosi, I believe it was last week, and he spoke on the different types of workers. There's the manager type style worker, and there's the maker or the creative. And the creative, they have to stay more in the zone where managers can schedule their days with different appointments all throughout each individual day. There's nothing that they really have to stay focused on to create, to use all of their creativeness, right? They're really just having conversations or sales or deals where in the creative space, let's say you have a calendar and your manager puts on there a lunch meeting at 1:00. For the creative, for the maker, when that pops up on our screen, it's a distraction if we're in the middle of something. And then we have to look at it, and now we're caught up and we're thinking to ourselves, okay, we have a meeting at 1:00. So now we're planning out our time around that. Okay, that means that at 12:30, I need to be leaving to get there. So that means I need to stop doing this at 11:30 and maybe squeeze this in before I leave. And then there's that hour that I'm gone, and then it's going to take me another 30, 45 minutes to hopefully get back in the same zone. You see, so even though the meeting is only scheduled for an hour, there's a lot that we have to think about, and it distracts us from where our mind is currently flowing. And so that's something that you have to think about. So not only do you have to think about how you work, your method, what works for you, you also have to think about and pay attention to how others work, what they need. Do they even need to be there? Can you handle it without them? If you want them to be more productive, you really need to learn how they work, what they prefer. And I know a lot of managers aren't like that. It's more of a do what I say do. But if you want someone to be more productive and more forthcoming and more involved and collaborative, you really want to know how they work so you can plan accordingly. You may be able to have somebody else at that meeting instead, and they can get more work done. I hope that makes sense. So all in all, it is important to plan, to communicate, so we all know where each other stands, what each other's needs are, what each other's wishes are, how to set aside that time to be together, or this is the time I work, or this is the space I need. And then we have to also detect for everything that is not communicated. We need to be aware. We need to be self-aware. We need to be aware of everyone's feelings, because most of the time your family doesn't want to take you away from what you're doing. And so they may not say anything. So it's important for you to be aware of that and then reset. It is important to take that break. Even in that free flow state, too much of anything is unhealthy. So staying there and not getting your body moving, not taking care of your spiritual self and your mental self and your physical self, it's not healthy. So be sure that you're taking that time and doing those things to reset. I mean, when I take a shower or when I'm outside, so many thoughts pop up, so many ideas. So stepping away is good. Stepping away is good. I hope you all take a moment to reflect and think about what you love doing, what gets you in the free flow state. And some of us haven't been in that state in so long because we're so busy doing other things that we haven't had a chance to go back and enjoy the things that we truly love. So this may be time for you to reconnect with what gets you into that state. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. I am Kim, the SME. As always, I am only speaking from my experience. I hope you take a moment to reflect and think about, again, what I was saying, what you love to do, what gets you into the free flow state, how you can approach it with the people around you, maybe even have them join in or play a part of it. And being sure to set aside other time for yourself to reconnect, to reset. I thank you, and I look forward to being with you all next week. Be sure to check out the website, KimUnity Soulutions, Soulutions, 2 U's, because our solutions are mutually beneficial. They work for you and for you. Y'all take care. Be blessed.